Croatian Women's Network, and welcome to another edition of our CWN Leading Ladies podcast. And I am thrilled to introduce Kaja Pavlinić, who is one of our, at that time, Future Leader Award winners in 2017, a most impressive young woman. It's been 5 years since Kaja has received her award. She also was a member of the judges panel in 2018, which was really interesting as well, and is quite active in supporting youth and females in particular, which we love, to follow their dreams and to stretch out of what they know to achieve more. So Kaja, dobro nam došla, welcome.
Hi, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's so nice to get in touch after so many years, actually.
And you've been quite busy, my goodness, between your traveling, between your work, between your graduation, congratulations, and starting a business. There's lots to cover here. Kaja, why don't we start with 2017? That was 5 years ago now. I can't even believe we're saying that. You were a most impressive winner of the Future Leaders Award at the time and have gone on to exceed any expectations. And as I said at that time, I'm sure we're going to hear and see lots of wonderful things from you over the course of your career. Share with our viewers and listeners, what did that award mean to you and how did it feel at the time?
It was one of the greatest achievements and, rewards I have ever received, actually. And even until this day, I think this is probably the most prestigious and important award for me. So back in 2017, when I found out that I have been nominated and have been chosen as one of the future leaders, I had a really big imposter syndrome. And to be completely fair, I thought it was, just somebody thinking I was somebody, and that's not real. That's not real me. So it was really hard to, just comprehend that this is because of my work that I've done until then and that this is real. And the award itself and all of the media coverage around it really brought many opportunities afterwards to me. So this was the period of a lot of interviews. I did a lot of guest speeches and panels, and I really got recognized in the community. So I think this is the biggest benefit and the thing that was most useful for me, actually, that more people found out about what I was doing and, what's my purpose and what I would like to do. And since then, it's been a lot of things. I graduated college. I am a master of software engineering. I got a job in the middle of the pandemic as a project manager. And now at the same IT agency, I moved on to a C-level position of chief operating officer. So it's an amazing progress. And, in parallel to this, I'm running the NGO that does so much I care about. I am a vice president of Croatian Youth Network, active in a lot of projects still, but it has been, 5 years, but it seems like I have gone through many revolutions myself. So it's really crazy.
You sure have. That upward trajectory is definitely, you're blazing the trail. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your NGO. It's very interesting that you opted to open what we would call an OPG, not an udruga or a business, for-profit business characteristic. Share with us your decision-making process and how you came to decide that that was the best approach, and what are you focused on?
Yeah, so Green Window is actually an NGO that was there before. So it's a 10-year-old NGO. So
and the name again, sorry?
Sustainable Development Forum Green Window.
Okay.
So it's an NGO that has been around for a while. It's more than 10 years since it has been founded. I actually got involved participating at one of the projects. So the project name was European Green Activist Training, which tries to basically teach young people about climate change and the consequences and sustainable development, and basically how to be more mindful, but also more active in the community. So I was a participant in this in 2017. And then I really liked, the people that have been active in the NGO. I really liked all of the projects and the purpose of, bettering your community, helping other young people in reaching their capacities. So I decided to become active, and soon I became the president. So currently I'm running multiple projects. So I have done a project on corruption eradication in Croatia. We have done like a very cool research about, what young people think about corruption. We also did a couple of other projects, for example, Green Post-Corona Talks. This was a series of online talks over Zoom during the pandemic, which basically helped us still be active in the community, although there was lockdown, so there was little opportunity to do so. So we have done plenty of the initiatives. But basically my main goal with that would be to basically kind of still contribute to youth, although I'm not a student anymore, although I do some more serious things professionally, but just to still remain active in the youth work area.
Now you started your own company.
Yeah, that was a very impulsive decision, to be completely honest. So I've done a lot of freelancing, always. And I figured out, as the years went by, there's more and more young people asking advice from me, whether that's personal development advice, whether that's business advice, how to run an NGO, how to start a project, how to fundraise, how to promote your project in the media. So there was a lot of questions, and people were, spontaneously offering me money. So I was very shocked by that.
That's a nice problem to have.
Yeah. So one day I just decided, I really need to have a legal entity to basically receive all of this compensation. And I decided to open up an obrt, which is a smaller company in Croatia. And I do that alongside of my IT work in the agency. And the main gist of what I do through my company is basically provide consulting services, but also project management services. Because right now I do have like 8 years of experience in project management, so I can help other young people not to waste too much time on maybe things that wouldn't work and focus on what might work. So it has been great. It's been running for 2 years now. So I celebrated the second year of its existence in September. So things are going great. There's a lot of projects planned for 2023. So yeah, I'm really happy with how it has been going so far.
Well, congratulations. It takes a courageous step to decide to launch any kind of organization, especially a consultancy, to be sure. And 2 years is a great milestone. And I'm sure there's wonderful things ahead through your company. So Kaja, you have a lot of things on the go. How do you, from your perspective, given all the people that you're coming in touch with, particularly I'm interested in that early career stage category. We know in Croatia, we have too many young people, very highly skilled, educated young people, capable people leaving the country. Yet you've clearly found a recipe that is having success in Croatia. How do you look at that situation? And what differentiates you from perhaps others?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I think it's a bit of, pure luck, but also consistency. What's pure luck is maybe that I'm naturally leaning towards a very privileged industry. So I didn't go into IT just because I thought it was a profitable industry to be in. I went into IT because I'm really passionate about it from the early age. So it's definitely a privilege to, to love what you do and to do that in a very profitable industry. On the other hand, there's a lot of my friends who are passionate about some other areas where it's kind of hard to find a job. However, I also saw some great examples of people, who kind of twisted the work in their own area and started their own companies, and now they're, very successful, even though it might not be considered a very profitable industry. So the way I did approach things is I worked a lot since I was 18. So I firstly got involved into many volunteering opportunities. So basically I said yes to, every single thing. And I never demanded any, compensation, or I never demanded anything. So it was just me trying to learn and contribute and, see what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, once I started earning money for my work, I always tried to, be the best, to kind of have the best output possible. So, whatever I do, I would rather reject it or say, let's postpone it for like 6 months, than just be late with everything and, not respond to my clients or anything like that. So I've been really trying hard to do everything not in the perfect way, because you can always make mistakes, but give them the best of me, and make sure everything's very transparently communicated. And even if I'm late with something, I communicate it right away. And I never stopped working on myself. So, I might have some seniority in some areas, but I also have to learn a lot in the other areas. So I never really stopped learning. I never really stopped searching for mentors and people who can help me. And this is also maybe to go back to the award. One of the benefits from receiving the award is getting connected to all of these amazing women across the world and across Croatia from multiple industries. And I stayed in touch with a lot of them, and they gave me some very useful advice. Even it sometimes it wasn't just like advice, it was like just encouragement and saying that I can do something. So this also helps in a very major way.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because of course that's the whole purpose of the network. Mreža živi, as we like to say. And really, we're here to champion each other, no matter what that means. And sometimes that could be you're having a bad day and you just need someone to hear you and reinforce and confirm all the good things that you have accomplished, because we forget that sometimes. And sometimes you need a little bit of a nudge in a different direction or just a different perspective. And that is the beauty of the network. So thank you for sharing that. So what are you hearing on the street, if I could put it that way, from your age group, your youth group? What would you like to see different in Croatia? What opportunities would you like to be created? Or are there barriers that you'd like to see come down? What would make things easier?
Yeah, for now, it's really hard. The pandemic has hit hard in the community, but also especially young people kind of pulled out a shorter end during the pandemic, just because, for example, we did a small research in the scope of our NGO among students, and 22.4 students actually lost their student jobs during the pandemic, because they were mostly employed in the hospitality industry. So it was hit hard. And what I would like to see maybe from the government perspective is more support towards young people and more understanding on the actual needs, because right now I do see some efforts. However, I see older generations mapping the needs of the younger people instead of older generations maybe asking young people what should be done. So I would definitely like to see that. But overall, I would say in the mindset sphere, the people are very still pessimistic in this region. And I know it's hard, and we're in this like post-conflict period, and it's been hard on us, and it's maybe harder for us to find opportunities than for some other young people in the rest of Europe and the world. However, there's still ways, and ever since entering the European Union, there has never been more possibilities for young people. So I would also like to see, you know, young people kind of transferring this anger and pretty legitimate frustration towards something constructive and, you know, something concrete that they can do with their own lives to contribute to themselves, but also to their community.
That's a wonderful message. Let's just go back to something that you said. You talked about more supports from the government, and that's a rally cry that we hear often from a lot of sectors of the population. Give me a couple of concrete examples. What kind of supports? So somebody from the government might say, well, we've offered all of these opportunities and nobody's taking advantage of them. How do we find them? What can the government concretely do to support someone, let's say in your age group, that would help them, number one, stay in the country, see that they have opportunity, and then grab that opportunity and run with it?
So I definitely think the first thing that we were supposed to do during the pandemic is we had all these financial contributions to people who lost their jobs, but
Yes.
none of them were for students who lost their jobs. So
Okay.
nobody really thought about the students because they were not on the work contracts.
Yes.
But the thing we need to do right now is basically, so I would definitely say to make it easier for us to open up a company. Right now you need to have so much legal knowledge and, you know, a little bit of funding cushion,
Yeah.
which not a lot of young people with great ideas
Right.
do. We still pay the same, you know, if we have our own company, we still pay the same taxes, and, you know, it's nothing's really different than the rest of the people who open up their companies. So I would definitely, you know, recommend for them to think about, you know, how can we actually benefit even more from maybe lower taxes or just some free legal help or anything like that, and maybe reduce the amount of bureaucracy behind it. I also think, you know, just working in general on anti-corruption measures and initiatives. Right now, there's plenty of my colleagues who are, you know, are still trying to get a job in like public institutions or the government, and they're really passionate about it. They bring some fresh ideas, some new approaches. But unfortunately, there's still a lot of nepotism, a lot of corruption. So, you know, just working on ensuring that we lower the percentage of corruption, and also that there's a lower perception of corruption among citizens. And then in general, I would just maybe emphasize also the support for, like, maybe in the health sector, supporting young people with their mental health. So right now there's really a lack of mental health experts who are free and available. So most of young people actually seek for private clinics and private experts that are more expensive.
Mhm.
So I would say in general, better access to healthcare and, you know, better access to any kind of support a young person might need. And for education, I think this can always be better, but right now I really feel like we have access to really great opportunities in that area. So I think this is also something worth mentioning as a good practice. And it's still free for us, and there's still multiple scholarships that you can apply to. But still, you know, just I think the corruption and access to proper healthcare is the thing that kind of frustrates us a lot.
So just to sum up, reducing red tape, which we see all across the board in Croatia in all facets, and making things easier and smoother. Certainly
Yeah.
accessible services. And I like your idea, perhaps for student or first-time entrepreneurs, having a panel of experts that will provide an hour's consultation free, perhaps, and some guidance to make that process a little easier. Some access to funding and maybe easier access to credit probably is an important factor in starting a business, because as you well know, the money doesn't start flowing on day one just because you're there. And I do like your point on healthcare. I think the healthcare industry has been really hit hard.
Mhm.
And I find in Croatia, the notion of mental health is in a way an emerging consideration, if you will. So perhaps not taken as seriously as someone who has a visible scar or a hurt
Mhm.
or an issue, an illness, but it's really important and increasingly so. So while we're on that topic, you are a very busy human being. I'm curious when you sleep, and I'm curious, how do you recharge your resilience? What do you do for fun?
Well, I sleep 8 hours. I
Good for
get that
you.
question a lot, but I really try to like balance out all of my responsibilities. So I always make sure I sleep a lot. And, I've had some, to be completely honest, I had some like burnout moments before,
Sure.
some panic attacks. And then I figured out,
Gosh.
I really need to settle my day and
Yes.
make it work.
Yes.
How do I recharge? Well, I always try to keep my weekends off,
Oh, good.
just not work, or even maybe work but on some ideas that are fun and excite me and kind of fill me up. I like to travel, whenever I can. I like to use the opportunity to go somewhere. I've recently traveled to New York, which was my first time in the US, completely like off
Okay.
duty and without any work. So that has been really fun. But also I, of course, go to regular therapy. I think this is something that
Okay.
has not been, talked a lot in Croatia. It's still stigmatized, where
Yes.
you have to have like a diagnosis to go. But also it helps me with, stress management, and it also helps me to kind of balance myself out, and helps with anxiety and the imposter syndrome. I have a pretty big imposter syndrome. So I've been also doing this, and I try to stay both physically active and just engage myself in various ways, but also really trying to, before, when I actually received this award, I was thinking of it all as like a sprint, and just doing
Oh,
everything I can and working 16 hours per day. And
yep.
I thought I could like do it for a long run, but then after a few years I kind of figured out maybe it would be great to slow down, just because I don't want to have like 4 diagnoses when I'm 30.
No,
So I
no.
really slowed down a bit, but I still haven't noticed, there was no consequences. I even do better work now. There was no consequences of me not working for 13 hours per day.
Well, I would suggest to you, as someone who did do that for a really, really long time, it took me a long time to learn that lesson. And the consequences are actually you do better work when you're rested, you
Yeah.
can be creative and thoughtful. And I would congratulate you on learning that lesson very early on. That will serve you well for the rest of your life, because it's not necessary for a prolonged period of time to be working 7 days a week, 16,
Yeah.
18 hours a day. It's not healthy. It
Yeah.
doesn't actually further the agenda. It just feels like you are. And
Yeah.
it's a mentality. We equate all of that intense effort with success, but in fact, it leads to a lot of health problems, pretty
Hmm.
dramatic ones at that. So good on you for seeing that early. And I love that you're building your resilience along the way. So good for you for recognizing that. That's an integral part, I think, of everyone's life that we forget about because of stigmatization. I think
Hmm.
you're absolutely right there. That's fair. So tell me, so New York was your last place to visit. Where's your favorite place that you have traveled to?
I love the US in general. I've visited a couple of times. I just feel like, at home there. I have a lot of my
Interesting.
friends, and
Yeah.
I did a program for a month, and
Yeah.
met a lot of amazing people there. But also for the European destinations, I honestly really like to travel across Croatia,
Yeah.
especially the Mediterranean, but also the continental part. So some of my favorite destinations here are Varaždin, my hometown, and Mali Lošinj, which is a really, really amazing island. But also my favorite destination maybe in Europe would be Brussels, because it also brought me many opportunities. I travel there often, and it's always, kind of gets you in the work mode, but also I met a lot of amazing people there. So I have a lot of friends in Brussels as well.
Nice. So where's your I wish I can't wait to get there someday place that you'd like to visit?
Oh, it's definitely Indiana again, because
Okay.
that's where my host family was.
Okay.
I stayed at their place in 2014, and I always tried to visit them, but then the logistics don't work. So I definitely want to go there. And if we talk about the places I've never been, I would really like to visit like Asia, Japan, China, somewhere really far away, exotic I've never been to.
Excellent. So there's an adventure there. Does that
Yeah.
adventure also translate into your culinary world and your palate?
Oh yeah, I love well I love cooking. For the past year I've really advanced my skills. I didn't really like it before. But more than cooking, I like, eating like food that was cooked for me. So it's my favorite thing. And also when I travel somewhere, I always try to, try the local cuisine and then replicate it at home. And it's a really fun part, but it also kind of mentally recharges me.
Yes, I bet. What's your favorite meal?
Oh, my favorite
What's your
meal.
go-to?
Well, buzara. Definitely buzara. So it's like I always like to do it, and I like to eat it everywhere. And even when I was in the US a couple of years ago, I ate buzara at a Croatian restaurant. So
Nice.
definitely
And
my
how did it
favorite.
compare to back home?
Well, it's definitely not the same, but it's close enough.
It's close enough. It'll do, right? And what is a meal that you would like to try that you haven't had a chance yet to try?
Oh, I would really like to try. I haven't tried a lot of Indian food, I would say.
Okay.
Haven't had this in Croatia too much, but I would also try to like original local sushi because I really like sushi all over the world, but I never tried like sushi at their origins. So yeah.
Oh, very interesting. It's sort of a riff on drinking Turkish coffee in Turkey.
Yeah. Exactly.
Very good. So, what's your favorite late night snack? You've come home from maybe clubbing, hanging out with friends, and you're really hungry. You open the fridge. What's your go-to? Tell me it's something really
Oh,
delicious.
I really rarely go clubbing though. But my favorite, I love cheese, like all kinds of cheese. So most of the times I don't even do anything else. I just like slice up
A
some
hunk
cheese.
of cheese. I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
love like there's probably not a cheese that I don't like, so I really like cheese. Yeah.
Well, you've got lots to choose from. Croatia this week won
Oh
like
yeah.
5 awards at the International World of Cheese
Yeah.
Awards. So you've got lots of great choices to be sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us, what's the last thing you Googled?
Last thing I Googled, why does my scalp itch? Because I got like really weird nerve sensations because I had a small surgery on my
Oh,
skin and it's from local anesthesia. So this is what I Googled, which you probably didn't expect that, but this was my last Google, yeah.
we didn't, and we appreciate your honesty because that's a great insight into your life. So that's wonderful. I hope
Yeah.
everything's okay.
No, everything's perfect. It's
Good.
just me, a hypochondriac, yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's because of the dry weather now that fall has turned, which is usually the case for most people. So good, it's nothing serious.
Yeah, it's weird.
You've been such a delight to speak with. We are so proud of all you've accomplished and wish you every success. I know we're going to speak to you again. And as I said to you many years ago, and I still believe it firmly, we will likely be giving you an award for Croatian Woman of Influence at some point in your career. And thank you for all that you do for youth and stimulating youth and giving them ideas and insights. Sometimes we just need a different perspective to spark an idea. So congratulations on doing that. You continue to be an incredible young woman of influence, and we need many, many, many more of you. So thank you. Thanks for speaking with us, and all the best of luck.
Thank you so much. It has been really great to reconnect after all these years. So thank you. This has been really great for me as well.
Always our pleasure. Well, Croatian Women's Network, there's another episode of our CWN Leading Ladies, and a wonderful woman that we will definitely be keeping track of in the future. Also, you may have seen that this week we had the pleasure of announcing our Croatian Women of Influence 2023 winners. 23 new winners from 10 countries around the world, and we are delighted by the growing interest of the awards. So thank you to all the nominees. Thanks to everyone who nominated an incredible woman of influence. The bar continues to rise every year. The accomplishments are varied, they are unique, and they are surprising. And it just goes to prove that Croatian women the world over are having an impact on their communities, changing the world, and continue to be the pride and joy of Croatia. So thanks for being with us. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks and wishing you all the best. Thanks so much.